What's up, CP Youth leaders? We're almost done. We're coming to the end of this little video series. What we're going to be doing is talking about hot topics. Oof, or handling hot topics. Spicy. Okay, these are fun things to talk about with your students. I've had a good share amount of them. I'll share one with you that's pretty wild at the end of this. Yeah, like I said, hot topics. We don't want to avoid hot topics because honestly, that's where real growth happens. And when we come at it from a place of love and truth, students are able to grow, and maybe we're able to get stretched and grow as well in those moments. Really quick, I'm just going to go over a few of the most common hot topics of today, which will be fun to say. LGBTQ plus. Right? That's a big one. That's a big one. Money, believe it or not, is a big one. Politics. Oof. I've had some fun politics talks. Sex, drugs, abuse, suicide, pornography. As youth leaders, these are all topics that, we need to feel at least comfortable navigating these because they are relevant in our students' culture today, which is pretty crazy considering how young some of them are, but that's what they're exposed to in their schools or maybe even at home. And if you're not comfortable even talking about one of these, come to one of us and we'd love to help you grow through that and even assist you in those conversations. Whenever a hot topic like one of those subjects come up, we always want to approach it from an angle of truth and love. When you come at it from an angle of truth and love, not from wanting to maybe win a political debate or, make them feel shame for what they're doing. When you come at it from a place of truth and love, you're really able to change hearts and minds to point them back to what is truth. And that's the Word of God. I like to just even reflect back on me. When I'll get vulnerable here for a minute. This is good small group leading. When I was a kid, when I was a student, I was ultra political. I mean, like I knew every single little fact. Okay, I was ultra political. But if you were to look at me now, man, I could not tell you half the stuff I knew then. Okay, so as students, man, they are still growing and forming those facts in their mind and getting new opinions about things. So having grace in that area is also a huge help when a student says something completely wild and very hot button. I kind of want to go over some quick tips on how to handle a hot topic when it comes up in the group. The first one I would say is this: be aware if the conversation is derailing. This is one of the most important ones. If it's taking the group off track, if it's not maybe related to the message, it's good to ask the student and just say, hey, that's a really big question. Do you mind if we go in and talk about this after the group? And leading them in that direction will help you maintain control over the group and keep it focused, especially depending on the age range and also the context of the group. It's really important that we make all the other students feel safe and seen as well. And it kind of leads into our next point, which is knowing when to pause or redirect. Sometimes you can kind of, discern when students are maybe coming at it from a different perspective and they're saying, hey, like I have a genuine question about this. But what's really important is for us as leaders to take the time to say, okay, are they maybe trying to get a reaction out of us or someone else in the group? Or is this a genuine heart question? And when we're able to answer that question first, then we kind of know what the next steps are to take, whether it be maybe kind of answer the question or maybe pause and say, hey, we're not going to talk about that right now. We need to focus on what other matters that are at hand. So hopefully that makes sense. The last one is this: guarding the room. Your role as a leader is to guard the room and make sure students feel safe and seen, even in hard conversations. One thing, which is kind of a big thing to ask, is for us to respond how Jesus would respond, which is pretty crazy, especially when these topics that are so polarizing gets brought up and even can come into some hard answers, hard answers. And sometimes as people, we want to react in certain ways. I have a funny story to tell you. One time I was in a small group and I had a student. Yeah, I think he was in high school, and he said the message was about faith, and he raised his hand. He said, "Hey Tyler, if Hitler gave his life to God, would he go to heaven?" And I was like, oh no, I know exactly where this is going, right? I was like, we talked nothing about that kind of stuff during our message. And of course, I gently said, well, that's a really good question. Yes, because this is what it says in the Bible. And I laid out the truth for him, but I came at it from a position of love. And after that, he kind of looked at me and got kind of frustrated. You could see he was frustrated. I said, hey, let's go ahead and have this conversation later after youth group. And he ended up coming up to me later, and he didn't really want to talk about it, and ended up cussing me out, actually, which is really great. But it's okay. But I handled it with love the entire time, and showed the love of Jesus. And that kind of plays into both of the facts of, kind of discerning whether the student has a genuine question, or maybe, like in this case, he was just trying to push a button to get a reaction out of me. So it's super important for us to lead in love and truth. One more thing that we do have to touch on is mandated reporting. As leaders, we are mandated reporters. That means that if a student is struggling with abuse, drugs, suicide, or sexual activity, depending on the age, you either need to file a report or come to us, and we'll help you do that, or we will file the report as well. We need to do these things very diligently, because this is not something that you might not be able to handle alone or just ignore. We really need to take the appropriate steps to handle those situations appropriately. Handling hot topics can kind of be scary at times, but it's kind of an honor and a privilege that we're able to help students navigate these hot topics that are being brought up in their schools, in their homes, and in their social lives, and be able to guide them in truth to what the Word of God says. All right, you have one video left. I'm going to leave it to Jordan. See you guys.